Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about what is going on with crypto and Bitcoin in particular. Having happened, we're supposed to moon, right? But does not appear to be the situation right now. And in this video, I'm gonna cover the coordinated, or what it seems to be like, the coordinated FUD US against crypto. I don't understand it, but there seems to be a coordinated attempt to bring the market down a little or even more. I don't know what the plan is, but there are, it's happening. Next, I want to talk about the US ETFs and how the inflow seems to be slowing down right now. And that seems to be impacting the price of Bitcoin as well. I want to talk about just the global and macro conditions that's also impacting crypto. And then lastly, it's not all doom and gloom, not all FUD. There is positive news that's coming too. So if you shift through all that crap, all the FUD, there's also positive news that media pretty much doesn't want you to see. But if you're following crypto and you know what's happening, you know where we're headed, you should just, pay attention to all the FUD, obviously, because it may impact price and maybe you get into better positions. But at the end of the day, we all know where this is going. We're securing our financial freedom. And in this video, I'm going to cover all of that. So guys, if you like any of the content that I'm about to talk about right now, please hit that like button, help the channel grow, help get me in the algorithm. And if you want to see more of my content, subscribe to the channel. So I'm not going to front, just looking at these prices right now, I expected my bags to be mooning right now. And obviously that's not happening. So I had to dig a little deeper to figure out what's happening. Is this normal? Can we expect the moon to come the end of this year, next year? When is it coming? And should I be DCAing more? If you follow me through my channel throughout my journey, you know that I'm still DCAing into Bitcoin because I believe it. I treat Bitcoin like a 401k, money market, and my other alts, basically, those are what I'm using for my, lifetime goals, purchasing, property, all those things. Hopefully retire early. So let's take a look and see what's happening right now with the crypto space and why we are so low. And we can't seem to get over that hump. We were at 70s for a little while, and now we can't seem to get back to 70. But I think it's short-lived. And if it's not, it don't matter to me. I'm still going to be DCAing. I'll just get more. So if we look at the price of Bitcoin right now, um, you know, so let's look at the halving number. So right around here, halving, we start seeing green candles up, a little tick down, up, and then ever since then, just down, right? So Tuesday of last week, then we have Wednesday of last week. I'm sorry, this is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday of last week, that, and we're ticking down, ticking down, ticking down, ticking down. And all of that is some news that correlates with why we're ticking down. So we have support here. It looks like this is that support around 63,000. We've been bouncing off of that. Although here we wigged down a couple of times, but there's that support around 63, 62,000 number. So I'm fine with that. Now the next leg down would put us, basically around 60,000. I hear people talking about maybe, if we wig down, we could wig down to the high 50,000s. I don't know if that's possible. Right now, I'm looking at this. I think this 63,000 is support. As soon as we, get more inflows from the ETFs, and maybe we won't for a little bit, but we know some news I'll be covering. Hong Kong, they're coming in, and we hear some bullish news that this number will go up. And I'll show you a chart historically that after the halving, it takes some time for things to pull off. And I talk about Bitcoin a lot because it leads the market, it heads the market. I think it's the safest crypto out there. Obviously, I love my alts, but we kind of have to pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing because everything else follows. But I'm not worried about this. Looking at these numbers here, I'm going to be DCAing. You saw my previous video, 65,000. I'm still DCAing at that. So anything under 70K, I'm still DCAing. But the numbers right here, obviously you see these red candles going down. That's not positive. And I think that trend may continue a little bit. And we have to realize that possibly Bitcoin may trade sideways for a little bit. It could be a month. Historically, the markets in May aren't that great. They say go away in May. I think that's how the saying goes. But, at the end of the day, it's perfect DCAing time. And, we know how summers go. Hopefully the summer it moons. If not, just still DCA, still good opportunities. But right now we may trade sideways. Or after ETFs, Hong Kong, and everything else, we can moon. You never know. So you prepare yourself for all different scenarios. That's what I always say. So let's take a look here. So this is according to Rec Capital and Twitter. They say in 2015 and 2017, Bitcoin peaked 518 days after the halving. Then we had the other 2019 and 2021 cycle. Bitcoin peaked 546 days after the halving. So if we use this math, and if history repeats itself, what does that mean for this bull cycle? Could it mean that our cycle, we might peak 518 to 546 days after the halving? That would put us at around September, October 2025. So next fall, that's when we might peak. And if that's the case, then this kind of makes sense. The trading sideways and everything. And there are a lot of world events every year. Every cycle is different, but it seems to happen around the halving, and things tend to match. If you look at that, just look at this graph here, right? It all tends to match, and then we moon to the top. So, again, this is not anything to be scared of, us trading sideways. It's happened before. It may happen again. You just want to prepare yourself for it. Also, let's take a look here. You know who else isn't scared? Michael Saylor, big Bitcoin bull. This guy just continuing to buy my Bitcoin. He doesn't care. They've acquired an additional 122 Bitcoin for 7.8 million. They now hold 214,400 BTC. So everyone's freaking out. People that aren't used to this and they're selling or whatever they're doing, MicroStrategy is going all in. They don't care. And MicroStrategy, there's some other news that's going to tie into MicroStrategy as well, which is FUD, but it kind of benefits them. And we'll talk about that as well. So this is what's probably leading into that, us going sideways and not mooning like we think we would. We see when the US ETFs launched, heavy inflow, just buy, a lot of traffic, a lot of volume. Grayscale was the only, poo-pooing everything because they were selling a ton. But whatever they were selling, you had, BlackRock and the like, they were consuming all of it. So it was helping the price. Now, however, it's slowed down. And you can see from week 1, and look at this, week 6, week 7, all of this. Week 11, there was a downturn, and now just look, consecutive weeks. Since the ETF started, this is according to a Twitter page I just showed you. But anyway, you just see that just negative. And that could be for many reasons. That could be because of this. The Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation says Bitcoin and crypto ETFs don't qualify as collateral for financial assets. So maybe a lot of retail investors, because pretty much a lot of people that are into these ETFs are people that want exposure to Bitcoin. They don't want to self-custody. There could be majority retail investors, and they see the price going down. Ever since they got in, the price was just going up to 70s, right? And then now it's starting to go down, and maybe they're fearing that, hey, this stuff, they're not used to all the volatility in crypto, and maybe they're just getting out of it. And you see this saying, oh, shoot, there's no collateral in my ETFs. And that's probably just adding to it. And retail investors, sometimes older investors too, not used to all of this, they're spooked. And that could be why there's some outflows and maybe the volume is not as heavy in these ETFs. Just a thought. But how I said this ties into MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is an equity, a stock in the US. So a lot of this money possibly can flow into MicroStrategy because you can use that as collateral, whereas as ETFs you can't. Eventually, I think they'll shift their stance on this, but that is, adding to the fuel of FUD. Next, we have some macro conditions. And last week we got in the US, that's where I reside, hotter than expected numbers, right? The US first quarter GDP growth is an annualized 1.6, which is well below 2.5 consensus expectation. But inflation is hotter with the core PCE deflator up 3.7% annualized versus 3.4 expected. So this is the worst scenario, right? Because we were expecting the beginning of the year, we got ETFs coming, Bitcoin's mooning, everything's looking good. Powell said he was going to cut Fed rates about 3 times this year, looking good. But now you get this type of stuff. And, as far as the Fed, I don't know what they're going to do because you can't have negative GDP growth because you have that again, then we're talking recession. And if you're talking recession and we have high inflation, that is a bad scenario for any economy. So what's he going to do? No one knows. So according to this article here, it said Fed is likely to hold interest rates steady and warn of the risk of delay to cuts. So basically, no cuts and keeping these rates as high as they are right now is not good for the crypto space right now. Definitely not. Because if people have less money to spend, they have less money to spend to speculate, basically, right? They're not going to spend it on high risk. And Bitcoin, unfortunately, is still considered high risk. Crypto is considered high risk. All that free flowing money is tied up right now in interest and debt. So we'll see what happens with this. It's not a good situation, and it's adding to the FUD. So just a lot of FUD right now. A lot of headwinds with the Bitcoin price. Also, this, and you see the media, boom, boom, boom. Wherever you turn, you see this is what they highlight. They don't talk about a lot about the good, but they'll talk about this type of stuff. So, Samurai Wallet, some of the founders were arrested. Basically, it's a privacy coin, and alleging that there's money laundering going on. If you hide the identity of whoever's sending the money or receiving the money, prone for illegal activity. I get it. Then you had Tornado Cash years ago that had the same issue. Um, and this is what they see. So you add this to people who maybe aren't that vested or fully familiar with crypto. They just got in because of whatever these ETFs. You see news like this. Then you see, this other stuff with the macro. Then you see ETFs outflow and you just get spooked, right? There's a lot of things going on that you're not familiar with and you're not comfortable with. And that could lead to the price volatility as well. But again, I don't typically invest in these privacy coins for reasons like this. Especially in the US, they're cracking down on anything privacy related, and I get it. So they like KYC, and I imagine when US regulations, when they get that implemented here, KYC is going to be something that they're really considering, and it has to be a requirement possibly. Then you have the Miss Warren of the Senate, still vendetta against crypto for whatever reason. I know the reason, right? You got to look and see who's her backer, who's her constituents, and chances are they're not in the crypto space. They're probably financial banking space. So she has, a reason to be doing what she's doing. And basically, she's saying that because of the lack of KYC, that this type of stuff, this type of child abuse is happening, and it's I guess instigating it. But that's just coordinated. So so far we talked about um, you know, macro conditions. We talked about, just FUD from Tornado Cash. We talked about just, ETF slowing down. And that's the reason these prices, the Bitcoin price has been impacted. And even with all of that, we're not talking about we're at 50, we're not at 40, we're not at 30,000 or 20,000. We're still at 60,000. So that's something to think about, just the strength of Bitcoin. So now let's get into some good news. Tesla had earnings last week and they didn't sell any of their Bitcoin holdings. So you have a company, a well-respected company that is still holding on to Bitcoin. They're not the only company that holds Bitcoin, but they didn't sell. So they still believe in the product. Then you have Hong Kong. Tomorrow, they will be launching their spot ETFs in Bitcoin and Ethereum. See what happens with that. Now, over in Asia, they have a lot of money. We tend to focus on our own countries and what's going on here. But all around the world, people have money to spend. And, right now in Hong Kong and over there, real estate was their main investment vehicle. And we saw what happened with the likes of Evergrande and everything the last few years. Maybe real estate isn't the thing anymore. Could it be Bitcoin and crypto? Only time will tell. So then the way I see it, the way my brain works is, so if Hong Kong starts doing this and they start with the inflows and start accumulating a lot, then you have the likes of the people in the US saying, hey, wait a minute, we gotta get it too. Then you have an arms race as far as who can accumulate the most Bitcoin. And there's not that much to go around. If you add in what's lost, what's already the long-term holders, what they're not selling, and that's only going to appreciate the price. That's the way I think, and that's the way I see this thing going, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now. It's going to be crazy. Then you have Australia. The largest stock exchange could let's just say could list approved spot Bitcoin ETFs by the end of 2024. So you have another continent getting into it. So, just it keeps coming. And then lastly, I'm going to show you this. So Stripe is basically when you buy something online, it asks you to put in your credit card information, your whatever information, and you pay online. It goes through a system and it doesn't say Stripe on it. You don't really know that it's Stripe, but it's all Stripe. It's a big, big payment onboard mechanism. Now they are back in 2018, they were accepting crypto payments and they stopped because of volatility. But now with the hype and they're starting to recognize it as an asset class, they're on tracking it again. And so now you can use USDC, stable coin pegged by US dollar, to pay again. And it's just the adoption factor of crypto. So there's a quick video. I'm not going to show you too much of it, but the key thing you'll hear.
This is our confirmation page. We passed in the email address for the checkout. Here we're selecting what chain we want to pay with. We're going to pay with Solana. Here we're selecting, what wallet we want to use. We could use Coinbase Wallet or MetaMask. I'm going to use Phantom for the purposes of this demo. So when I pay here, it's going to bring up some UI from Phantom, which is the crypto wallet that we're using. So this is the Phantom UI here. This is not Stripe UI. And you see here we're confirming. We're going to pay with Solana. The network fee, very cheap, as we discussed, network fees coming down, $99. Now, again, you're probably used to a crypto transaction. You're expecting, me to bring out another guest here, and, we'll do a 8-minute conversation while we wait for the transaction to clear. But that is old crypto. Are you ready for the new crypto world? You have to look very closely and not blink. You ready? Oh, that tap. That's it. We're done.
Boom. Adoption is coming. And the reason I wanted to highlight this video is because it's talking about my favorite alt, which is Solana. The belief I had in Solana, why I think it's still overtaking Ethereum, is that it's cheaper and it's quicker. And right now, even Visa is on the blockchain, and Solana is one of the main chains that is being used. I'm just telling you, Solana, I think, is going to rock. We're just beginning to see what Solana can do. It has some issues with congestion. About 90% of it has been resolved as far as the congestion goes. I'm using my Phantom wallet, and there's no issues at all. Still fast, still faster than these other L1s that are out there. But look out for that. But again, this is the adoption, right? You see all this stuff about Bitcoin's going down, and you're going to lose all your money. Family members saying, hey, what's going on after the halving? You're still not a millionaire, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But let time progress. You still invest. You still know why you got into the space. And we'll see what happens come, end of this year or next year. That's the way I think of it. So at the end of the day, let's take a look at the market. We see that the crypto market cap's at 2.3 trillion, up on about 0.5%. And we see Bitcoin dominance at 53.4, ETH dominance at 16.7. But, I'm just looking at this. I'm like, well, Bitcoin's under 65,000. ETH, okay. Solana 137 for something that was over $200, less than a month ago. Goodbye for me. Just ton of good buys out there. And the purpose of the video is just, guys, I don't want you to be fudded out. Just remember why you got into the space. This is all short-lived. And if it isn't, let's say it lasts 3 months, 4 months, whatever the case may be, just remember why you got in, still DCN. And I believe truly that you'll reap the benefits at the end of the day. So guys, that's my video for today. I hope all is well. Thank you for spending your time with me. And until next time.